So let's go into the first specialty that you can consider if you're into soft life or chill life vibes, so like, relaxed life situation. And number one is psychiatry. So psychiatry, guys, basically you deal with psychiatric patients. Chilled life, like most of the hard work that you do is literally just sitting down and talking about a patient, about how they feel, and evaluating, psychoanalyzing their patients. So I feel like it can get rough because some psychs are like violent and like highly psychotic and intense. But other than that, it's chilled. Most of the departments that I've rotated in, both as a student and as a doctor, during internship, were actually chilled, man. Like even as a specialist, after having specialized, even in registrars during reg time, like it's chilled. Most of them finish early, ngabo wani. And it's like go come, like they sit down with OTs, figure out how to better the patient's life. Like it's really chill life vibes. Like if you're really into talking to people, because sometimes personally for me, my biggest issue with psychiatry was that sometimes it's very twirling abantu on my shoulders, like, and I don't know, sometimes I'd feel like so stressed and I think about the patients. It's just like, psychiatry is a bit a bit emotionally draining for me because I also don't like listening for that long. But if you are someone who is into, like, listening to patients, talking to patients, why am I on 20%? The calls are like nothing. Like, majority of patients have to be seen by the medics first before they are referred to psychiatry. So most of them, by the time that they're initially psychotic, within the first 72 hours, they are seen by the internal medicine people, who have to exclude any medical condition being the cause of the psychosis or depression or whatever psychiatric problem that they may have. So equals the corner where two guys is chilled, nice life. I feel like even the environment, I've never seen like angry psychiatrists. Like, they're not angry people, they genuinely nice people, because they're not stressed like that. Environments that are calm and nice like that allow you to actually have free time and rest and be just like a normal person. Also, you find in those specialties, the ones that I'll be listing today, the doctors are actually also genuinely nice because they are resting. The environment is not tense and stressful, because sometimes stressful environments can create unhappy and angry and resentful doctors. And in as much as we don't want to admit it, we all want to be the Christina Yangs, Dontons, but the reality of the situation is that a lot of what makes a human being is not just the work. There's like a lot of things that come into play that I don't know, that determine how you behave as an individual. And if we are spending majority of your time alive at work, personally, I feel like let it be a peaceful, area or environment, that allows me to be myself and, be calm and not stressed. So psychiatrists are generally nice people. Because stressed, I think even in private, it's just in private they see more eating disorders and don't like soft life problems. Like soft life problems like body dysmorphias, personality disorders, whereas in public they see more like psychosis, like substance-induced psychosis, like schizophrenia and etc. Most people, if you're looking into this, maybe during ComServe you can do a diploma in mental health, and then try applying to working at a psychiatric hospital. Sometimes these hospitals are not linked to like regional hospitals or whatnot. They're psychiatric hospitals like on their own, like Sterkfontein, like sometimes like Komani Hospital. So there's sometimes the hospitals are a separate entity, like the psychiatric facilities that are separate from the actual hospitals, and sometimes the actual departments that are found inside hospitals, mainly tertiary hospitals. And yeah, basically if you're interested in that, as early as ComServe, maybe mental health diploma, or you can try get a ComServe post in a psychiatric facility, and then from there onwards you can so much specialize and do your reg time and apply when there's an available post to do your reg time there. And then after registrarship, graduation, and then you're a specialist in psychiatry. Let's move on to number 2, and that is dermatology. Departments are mainly in tertiary hospitals. And the availability of posts, I guess, is the most annoying thing about dermatology. Trying to get in is It's disgustingly hard. And sometimes in get connections and all these things. So in as much as dermatology is like a really nice specialty to go into because it's chilled, the only other emergency that you actually really encounter is Stevens-Johnson syndrome, of which how many patients actually get that? And even so if you go on, okay, Stevens-Johnson syndrome, and then the medics will probably manage it. So it's also a chill nice life vibes. Like you also chill at the clinics, like they do their clinics. I remember when I was a student, we rotated at Helen Joseph Hospital. And we're to clinics like they get busy, but most of them like they're out by like 1. And then if you're on call, you hardly like you're just on call like just to say you're on call, but you will hardly ever get called for nothing or anything. They also do rounds, they wear heels, like they are nice, like by happy. Like guys, there's something about these specialties that are just making people happy. Like let you try, like the environment plays a role in how you are as an individual. Have you ever seen a herpes surgeon? Like abantu ba-angry apha kuyaxatyanwa kwezinye departments, like rough, but germs are nice life, like because umntu is able to have a well-balanced life as a whole. So the only downside to it is getting a post. Try do diplomas. We're all trying. We're just trying to get a post in derm. We're just sitting and waiting, trying to do the most, trying to get the post, but apparently one gets released every I don't know how many years in terms of if you want to specialize into it. So it's very, very highly competitive, and it's hard, and getting in. So a lot of people will do the HIV diploma because that is also a requirement. So I think by ComServe you can do that. They also sometimes require you to have at least 6 months experience in internal medicine, because it makes sense, because a lot of the dermatological conditions can be related to medical conditions. So basically dermatological manifestations of medical condition that is underlying. So let us move on to number 3, and number 3 is ophthalmology. Ophthalmologists are doctors that specialize with the eyes, not optometrists. Guys, do not let there be no confusion. Ophthalmologists deal with the eye, they do eye operations, they deal with medical conditions pertaining to the eye. So, and they are specialist doctors, not technicians, ne? So yeah, with regard to ophthalmology, nice life, guys. Like the other thing that can be depressing about general medicine is patients dying. And I don't know how to patients dying it can weigh on you, like into your babantu besifa. And the nice thing about these specialties is that people don't die. It's like clean job type situation. Like their theaters, their wards, they're clean. So ophthalmologists they're mainly found in tertiary hospitals. We do have one in our regional. Some regionals will have ophthalmology. If you're looking into doing this, make sure I think you should just stay in either a regional that has it, or just a tertiary hospital. Requirements as they call that much. It's just a matter of having to start out as an MO in that field. Now let us move on to the fourth specialty, and that is ENTs, ear, nose and throat doctors. So these doctors also have to, unfortunately, via the surgical route. So basically they specialize in ear, nose and throat operations, procedures, whatnot. They also are very happy doctors. They're very happy doctors. And to see that they're happy, when you are in the peripheries, ne? And you're trying to refer a patient to a specific specialty, how you able to tell that these are actually happy people and like good people living in the soft life department, is that they never refuse to take your patients. But hey, be like they're happy to see your patients, because obviously because stressed, a nice life. You can start out as a medical officer, especially when you're wanting to specialize in ENT. Start out as a medical officer, try get a medical officer post, or at least ComServe in a hospital that has that specialty. so that you're able to, when you are absorbed by the hospital from ComServe, you're able to ask to be placed in that department so that you are able to be a medical officer in that department. That way you gain experience in terms of the operations, the daily functioning of how those things, operations and everything works there, and you're able to study while you're there. And once they obviously see you who you are, when a reg post comes up, you're able to apply, and because of your experience and the fact that you've proved yourself, you're able to be taken up and specialized. So number 5 is family medicine. And family medicine as a specialty, it actually, is, I feel like, a nice specialty. Some people call them, I know it's rude, they call them glorified GPs, like specialist GPs. And I think mainly why they say that is because mainly it's primary work and they deal with everything. They know everything about everything, but they're not a specialist in any particular field. It's primary healthcare or primary, medicine. And most of these doctors who specialize in family medicine will, during their reg time, have to rotate in district hospitals as well as clinics. So most of the time when they are specialists, they head clinics and they head district specialist teams, all that jazz. Once they go into private work, it's mainly like GP type work. But as far as I know, according to South Africa, or how things work in South Africa, is that they aren't allowed to claim like specialists, so they claim regular fees, regular doctor fees. So what a GP would charge is what a family medicine specialist should charge, according to medical aids. But I know some doctors who are in private who take cash patients are able to charge as much as they want. I know one who worked at this one hospital that's like very fancy in Joburg, and she used to charge e-consultations on 1.com, like 1.9, just for you to see her and talk to her type vibes. So I know medical aids will not do that, or they won't want to pay family medicine specialist fees or rate. So I think that's the only disadvantage. Other than that, chilled by vibes. I feel even as a doctor, like clinic work is really chill, guys. Most clinics are run by sisters. Most sisters see their chronic patients. They'll mainly refer to you. Maybe you'll have to do a couple of gynae scans, maybe see their complicated patients, maybe the patients that the sisters failed to treat or whatever, struggling to have to manage. But other than that, it's chilled life vibes. They hardly ever do any calls unless they're working for a CHC. They'll put them on call, but there'll literally hardly ever be a problem that a medical officer cannot solve at a clinic, and of which, if there is, they probably refer to the actual hospital. If you are looking into getting into that space, that clinic space and whatnot, you can apply to be a medical officer or be a ComServe at a clinic, So that's what most people say, and they'll so much stay there, and after that start applying for reg posts. If you're really into that and you're passionate about primary healthcare, you can really honestly go via that route. And then number 6 is going into lab work or pathology, hematology or clinical pathology, but basically work in the labs. Chilled life vibes also. It's just sad that as students we don't get exposed to that field or area. As a result, we know really little about it. It was a chem path, because we don't rotate in it. And I feel like, at least if I feel like, because we don't get exposed to it, most people who will go into this field are people maybe who know someone and therefore know about it, or I don't know what sparked the interest. And yeah, I feel like it's pretty nice. A lot of the people that I've ever spoken to, I know they took a lot of people during COVID time. So when COVID happened, people from my year were doing ComServe. So 2020 to 21 were doing ComServe. If you decide to do ComServe at NHLS or at the lab, a lot of the people were put into research. So research about, the certain, the outbreaks, whatnot, public health issue at that particular point in time, monkeypox, whatever it is that, that is happening at that particular time. So most of them would be put into research, others would be put in the lab. If you are looking into going into that field, or that as a specialty, just look it up, guys. There's a lot of things: chem path, hematology, chemical pathology. Zneeds, guys, and for instance, when you're done with internship, you have to try get a post at maybe NHLS, and then you'll navigate your route away. Once you're in there, then you'll basically, be in that space or that field. Some people say it's hard. I heard that it's actually really hard. Nigga, I don't know. Like, I guess you have to try it. But I also feel like it's a small price to pay for soft life. You don't have to be seeing patients, walking up and down. You're just sitting, looking through the microscope, looking through slides. I feel like it's actually really nice if you're someone who is into that. Yeah, well? So then let us go to number 7. So number 7 is radiology. So radiology is a specialty. Good. Yeah. Radiology is something to consider. It's something definitely to consider. The thing with radiology is basically they are doctors, specialist doctors. Let me also clarify. Let us clarify real quick. Difference: radiographer, radiologist. Radiographers are technicians who basebenza at the X-ray or radiology department. They work under doctors who are radiologists. So radiographers ngababenzi X-rays. Sometimes they also play a part in terms of kwenza into the CT scans and etc. So they are technicians, yabo, and they specialized with into the imaging, yabo. So then there's specialist doctors who actually went to medical school, who then want to specialize in radiology. So radiology as a field deals with, scans, like imaging, either scans, and also is also diagnostic. So they have to scan and see what they think it is and report and whatnot. I think radiology as a specialty is chilled. You don't really have patients. You don't really see patients. So radiologists are, nice people also when they want to be. The annoying thing about radiologists is that sometimes they think they're important. Like, sometimes they're just like, it's not important. They'll reject scans. Sometimes, but the MVPs, like, in a way, but actually, like, they're the VIPs. But they're actually genuinely, like, nice people. But Alando, we reject his scanning. And I'm just like, sometimes, because they're not seeing the patient, they don't see the urgency. But yeah, which is, it's them for you. But in radiology is a specialty. Chill, nice vibes, hlala nje phana wenze ezazigeni zakho bagqibe bahambe babhale report umuntu ahlale ekhompyutha yakhe, go through black and white films, don't wait to nice life problems. And the nice thing about radiology is that it has money, and it has so much potential for money, because especially in private, because a lot of these radiologists will open in Dao, like in various towns. I know a lot of them make ridiculous money, especially in small towns, because monopoly, like if you're the only one there, then everyone comes to you, the GP sends to you, everyone sends to you, then they don't have a choice basically. And the nice thing about radiology is now it's digitized, so they don't really have to be at a place to actually do the thing. Like, they can have so many facilities or area, like key practices, let me call them that, practices in various towns. And then a private, you could report on the X-ray, guys, like a private, but report on the X-ray for money. That time doctors can tell you what's happening with the X-ray, but radiologists will actually do an X-ray, report the X-ray, charge you for both. But anyways, that's what they do. And the nice thing about it is that they don't have to be in, like, you can literally be chilling at home. You can literally be chilling at home and have radiographers, run the whole thing. So they'll hire radiographers, these are technicians, remember. And they'll hire radiographers and sonographers or whatever to run their various practices. And then they just send the images. Obviously, they have access. That's why I was saying that it's digitized. So they'll have access to those images and report from home, sent to the specific doctor who requested. And then obviously, radiographers is all print upon a practice and whatnot. So you see how it's like cash. It's like cash money. I feel like it's a specialty. People have so much potential. I feel you can even a public, and then on top of that, they have like these various practices, these various people that they're having to report for, these various like private hospitals, or maybe even part of a private hospital. Like, radiologists are moneyed. Like, they are moneyed. But I think the danger, ne? I think the danger comes in when you have to study, I think it's pretty hard. But I feel like it's also as a specialty. There's a lot of physics in the photons, intons, and guys. So there's a lot of physics. I think, and a bit of chemistry, but mainly physics. So I think a lot of people will sometimes fail and whatnot. Would have, but I guess it's a small price to pay. And I think if you're into soft life, but you're also into money, then that's your field. That's your field. When it comes to studying, you don't really need anything. The only thing that obviously, competition comes into play. So if you have primaries, then, you are considered first above everyone else. So maybe as a ComServe, you can try maybe be placed at a hospital. You can try ask to be placed at a hospital that has radiology as a department that's functional with the specialists and the registrars. So maybe stay in a tertiary facility, or at least a Betanyana regional hospital that has a specialist doctor. Then, so that after that you can maybe, if the hospital absorbs you at the end of the ComServe contract, then you ask to be placed in radiology as a medical officer. So basically, in terms of, if let's say Okabina a post as a medical officer post in radiology, then you can still write your primaries, because for primaries there's no requirements. I think that's the only positive. Ako any requirements for you to write a primaries as a the radiology. So you can literally be at a clinic and still write primaries. So I think if you're into that, maybe start studying during ComServe, so that regardless of where you're placed, regardless of what happens, you are able to write your primaries early, maybe in the first semester of when you're a medical officer. So then it's a matter of just doing your research, maybe during ComServe, even if you're placed at a casualty, internal medicine, whatever, that you're able to at least get a chance to study and start writing your primaries, so that you can apply for registrar posts with having had your primaries, or you can apply for MO post unazi primary. So I think the most important thing is the primaries. Alrighty, let us go on to number 8. And number 8 is anesthesiology. Basically put the patient to sleep. They do spinals, general anesthesia. They basically deal with the machine. They monitor the patient during operations and work closely with surgeons in that regard. Yabo. So anesthesia, it's nice, guys. I think like when I rotated in anesthesia, I enjoyed it. Like I think as an intern I enjoyed it, and it was nice. It's chilled, man. Like like you just sit there and then you intubate, and then you watch the patient, you do the things. Some even read books. They're also happy people if they're not trying to cancel patients from going into theater or fighting with the surgeons. But other than that, they also generally, they're generally happy people. Chilled with, even the environment was pretty much nice. You work, the unfortunate thing is that you work as long as the surgeons, but because obviously you have to be there for the duration of the operation. But I feel like you're just sitting, sis. Like, you're just monitoring. So also, I guess you do play an intricate role. I mean, I'm not minimizing the intensity of the specialty, but I don't think, because it's not like hard labor. So if you're also not into like hard labor, like lifting things, whatnot, you just want to use your brain and think, work, be able to manage stressful situations calmly, then it's for you, sis. Anesthesia is nice in that regard. Is nice basically in that regard. And if there's no cases booked for theater, then we're free. So basically, like I said, they work as hard as as the surgeons. So if there's no cases, like they don't have patients allocated to them. So you just see them basically just in theater. Chilled life, nice life situations. Anesthesiologists are living their best lives. They make a lot of money, and some will also go into private after having specialized. Now, Pana is the same situation, no cases, no work. So obviously in private you want more work. So I think, if you're not into like hard labor, but you also don't mind working or being present at work, then anesthesiology is the thing for you to study. obviously, I think as a comserve, you have to try to be put at a hospital that has a theater. So you can't really, like, hopefully you have to try to get into maybe a regional upwards, a hospital that cuts so that you're able to get the adequate exposure. Yeah, so the people would be put in anesthesia for 6 months as comserve to gain experience, and depending on how eager the department is, they'll literally make their comserves even get DAs by the time they're done, or by the time it's the following year for their, as medical officers. They quickly they train, especially if there's like a specialist doctor. Then we have pushed all the medical officers to have diplomas in anesthesiology, so that they're able to also be more experienced and also have an advantage in terms of when they applying to be registrars, in basically en route to specialty. The nice thing about anesthesia that is beneficial, that makes it top tier among or across all other specialties compared to all other soft life specialties, is the fact that you don't have to specialize to like make the dough. Like, technically you don't have to specialize to make money. So basically, the diploma in anesthesia allows you to function as a specialist or a semi-specialist. I think there's just a cutoff in terms of the ASA number, in terms of the patients that you'll have to deal with. But you can technically, literally work in private hospitals, and function like a specialist and run the theater there with your diploma in anesthesia without you having to even set foot or even write any papers, any don't specialize. So that's the advantage, that you can do so much with a diploma in anesthesia compared to other diplomas that you can do across other fields. So I know a lot of people who don't really want to specialize like that will have a DA and basebenze nge-DA futhi and just become rich and filthy rich with just a diploma in anesthesia. Anesthesia is soft life, ne? Like in terms of you having to be present at work. Kuyafana, guys. Kuyafana with all, like, you'll have to be present at work. There's no two ways about it. If to make money, that's the annoying thing about it. But at least you're sitting down, you're chatting to the patient. Like, it's not like you're doing most of the work or whatever. You're just using your brain and your intellect and your knowledge to try to handle the patient. But sometimes my lead to proper anesthesia, guys, you crush your patients, so you have to actually have a good head on your shoulders. So technically, and also be able to be calm in stressful situations. So I think that's the only thing about anesthesia that's a bit of, not a cringe, but a bit of a, yay, you must be awake. So basically, number 9 is public health specialties. So it's either going to public health or occupational therapy. It falls under the whole public health umbrella, yabo. So you can go into this as a specialty, and there's basically 2 ways about it. You can go into it as a specialty, like you're an occupational medicine specialist, and there are departments, rare as they may be, in tertiary hospitals, a occupational medicine or occupational health, where they deal with patients, with occupational related health exposures or conditions, injury on duties, and so it is a specialty on its own, but majority, that's why I'm like, it's also one of the specialties where you can do a lot with a diploma or a master's. Public health as well, you can do masters in public health with a university. And if you are someone who wants to go into this as a specialty, then you have to most of the time link yourself with a university that has that as a segment on its own. So this is mainly basically tertiary facilities. You don't only work with like Department of Health patients, but you can work in industries. You can work for companies to evaluate their patients, to assess their patients. You can work with mines, construction companies. So broad. They also function either as GPs, and these people make a lot of money. They make a lot of money. It's also an underlooked like specialty. If you're into GP work, smart GP work, where you make a lot of money, and they charge a lot. And it's really beneficial if you're going to be also located in a province or an area that has a lot of these mines, like Mpumalanga, Limpopo, Gauteng type situation. They make a lot of money, like a lot of money. They'll be visiting, these mines for a couple of days a week. Benzimali, guys, and it's things that we don't get exposed to. It's things that we don't know. It's up to you. Public health as well. You can either do masters in public health or diploma in public health. You can work for NGOs. Some people run clinics or run the district Ndonton clinics. Other people go into government, especially with the fellowship. They can go into lawmaking, legislature. It's up to you if you want to do the fellowship route, which I think it's a bit hard. I don't know if it's worth it. I stand to be corrected. If you end up the same, whether you go the actual, masters, whether you go the master's route in like a university, or if you go the fellowship route in terms of specializing in, in public health. So I guess it's up to you which one you choose. Like, nice life is chilled. You don't get to see patients. You get holidays. You get time off. You don't really do calls. You don't do calls at all, actually. So public health is actually really nice of a specialty to consider, especially if you're humanitarian. You like also seeing or having to contribute to make a difference in the Department of Health, from the managerial or the business side of things, Let's move on to number 10. It's basically subspecialties. So I won't mention one thing. It's subspecialties to some of the hectic departments. So I know there's subspecialties in internal medicine that are quite chilled, like rheumatology is chilled. Yeah, where you're gonna work hard initially, but eventually, you get to relax, and your hard work pays off. So things like rheumatology, nephrology, you specializing, it's a subspecialty. So yeah, subspecialties are also very chilled. So yeah, if you have enough energy to carry you through, or you are at least, you have energy, a majority of the subspecialties are chilled, because obviously you're focusing on the subsection of this thing, So obviously, basically, all the subspecialties in all respects will probably, most likely, be a little more less stressful, because you are only seeing 1% of the problem. Ne? So yeah, other than that, it's that we two guys, we're all built differently. We all want different things in life, and in as much as medicine is hectic or whatever, not all of us actually want to experience the anxiety or the stress that comes with some of these other specialties, which I will mention. We don't want that, and it's up to you to choose the life that you think you want, or the thing that you think you deserve. And personally, for me, I say go with whatever makes you feel peaceful. If anything, if you are in an environment that creates anxiety and sort of like borderline pushes you towards depression, then maybe it's not for you. So that's when you have to reevaluate and think, maybe, just maybe, you're a soft life child, just like myself. And maybe you should just create a sort of, a path that's slightly different for yourself, so that you don't have to deal with all the stress and work that comes with this career of ours. Ne? So whatever you decide, all the best. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you want to look into more of these specialties or requirements, I'll link down the College of Medicine of South Africa website, where you can see the various specialties that one can go into based on the different subsections.